Welcome ESL to ESL Trackside. I have with me Rhett Sawyer, and we'll be going over the playoffs, who made the playoffs, and we'll go briefly. We'll also go briefly through what we think. How deep these drivers can get in the playoff series, but we'll go with the 1987 and the next gen. Those are the only two series right now in the league that have playoffs. Everyone else is just regular points. So before we get started, you have anything you want to add, Rhett?
Hey, thanks for having me. Ready, looking forward to seeing who all got in and a great playoffs to follow up what we had last year.
Yeah. So first, let's start off with our drivers that got in by wins. Let's start with the NASCAR 1987 series.
The 87s.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go by what week they won? You want to start from week 1 to 8?
Yeah. Yes. Let's do that.
All right. So starting us off in 1987, we had our rookie series our rookie team. I mean, in week one, get a win with DJ Hume. They followed up with a win in week two. Juan Fangio for Lost City. Week three, Evan Ethel got a win for NLR. Devontae Wilkins in week four for NLR as well. Week five, you had Parton from DOG. Gunny in week six for the Brew Crew. And Lost City got their third driver in by win in week seven with Trunan Dunn. And last but not least, in week eight, Isabella Ramon got in for the Brew Crew.
Yeah. Isabella had a great run last week. Um, And I mean, Lost City did well. They got a few drivers with a win, which was great for them, especially being a new team. Um, yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to post on the screen here, I will post a whole list of the drivers that got in for the 1987 series. And here are your drivers that have made the playoffs for season 9. And we just ran off. Rhett just went through the drivers that won, the drivers that got in by points is 1 second here is
Got him right here.
go ahead if you have them, you can read them
You
off.
got Justin Reside, who finished first in the standings. AJ Stryker, who finished fourth. Tyler Grims, who in fifth. Sebastian Primo finished eighth. David Leathers finished 12th. Thomas Noble, 13th. Chris Lee got in at 15th. And then Tazzy Blackwell got in 16th.
So Tazzy just snuck in. Um, Chrisley had a decent season. He got in 15th. Um, I'm looking at playoff points wise now. So I'm gonna run down the list here of what drivers have what for playoff points. Justin Reside, he's first with 19 points. So during the rounds, before I go through this list, during the rounds, how this works for new people that are in this playoff format, um, these points carry over from round to round. Um, you could add to these points. So say like Justin Reside, let's say he wins the next race, which is 5 points. And he won the third stage, obviously. So that's another point. So that's 6 points. So he would carry over 25 points to the next rounds, and those 25 points will stay with him until the round of four, which is the final round for the championship. So that's how that works. You still score points during the race where you finish. You score points. Um, you get stage points, um, and those are all calculated. And then the top 16, these 16 drivers here, all these points get calculated, and that's who determines who moves on to the next round because it'll be the round of 12. So then it'll be the top 12 in points move to the next round. But then all the points that you won during that race get stripped, and it's like just reset. So it'll be back to these points that you see on the screen plus if you won a stage or you won a race. So that's the only points that carry over. So on this list, Justin Reeside is first with 19 points. He had a great season. He won the regular season championship, so congrats to him on that. Gunny was second. He has 18 points. Evan Ethel third with 15 points. Tanner Parton fourth, 12 points. Isabella Ramon fifth, 10 points. Tyler Grimm sixth, 9. AJ Stryker seventh, 8 points. Devontae Wilkins eighth, 8 points. Juan Fangio ninth, 7 points. DJ Hume 10th, 7 points. Trunnion 11th, 6 points. Sebastian 12th, 3 points. And David Leathers 13th, 1 point. Thomas Noble has no playoff points. He's 14th. Chris Lee has no playoff points. He's 15th. And Tazzy Blackwell has no playoff points. 16th. What you think about this list here, Rhett?
I mean, it's an interesting spread of points here. I don't want people who are down there, the David Leathers, Noble, Chris Lee, and Tazzy Blackwell to get discouraged because you only have one or no points. Last year, I believe we had in the next gen series we had two drivers who started off with 1 or 0 points, make it all the way to the finals. So everyone has a chance in here, and seeing that we don't have anyone. I mean, Gunny and Justin have a pretty nice bumper for the rounds, but it's not something we didn't see people fall out of the playoffs last year with. So it looks like it should be a pretty good series, and there's not going to be a ton of room for mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, we had some drivers last season, next gen. They really had nothing to work with, and they made it work. You know, because you in the playoffs, how the playoffs is designed is you're gonna race on 4 different style tracks. So a super speedway, a road course, a mile and a half, and then we're gonna finish off at a mile. And as you well know, being in this league a very long time, is super speedway is a wild card, and even a road
Hmm.
course, you just don't know. If you catch a bad break on a road course, that could be it for you. So even though some of these drivers have no points, literally anything can happen, and we're gonna do a super speedway to start the playoffs, and then in the next round we're gonna do a road course. So things could get very interesting. But those drivers that have that cushion, um, they can afford a mistake, which is that's what these playoff points are about. If you have a bad race,
Hmm.
you could probably sneak by and move on and advance. Lotus Lee, that happened to him last season, and he was able to, keep advancing because he had a big enough cushion that, if he struggled, it was still going to help him, depending on what the other drivers did. So, um, yeah, so this is a competitive list of names here. Um, we have a lot of winners here and a lot of drivers that have been pretty consistent throughout the season. So let's move on to the next gen series.
All right. Well, the drivers who got in by win, in the order they got in. Week 1, Freddie Trammell got in for Apex. Ace Blade in week 2 for Northern Lights. Doug Britton week 3 for Northern Lights. Then we got Kozak, the owner driver for the Brew Crew, got in week 4. Ralph Lumley in week 5 for DOG. Bill Cherry got Lost City, another driver in by win. The longtime driver in the league, Kyle Storm, got in week 7 for low fuel. Odeon, the owner driver as well for DOG, snuck in week 8 and took home the win.
Yeah, we had pretty impressive list of drivers there as far as wins. And Odeon once again, I mean, man, that guy, man, he likes to, do this last minute, you know, superhero type of performance. Because man, last season he didn't win, but he got enough points to get in that last race. And this season he said, well, I'm not gonna wait around for points. I'm just gonna win the race and get in.
They
Um,
gotta start calling him Cardiac Odeon.
yeah, because man, like it wasn't looking good for him during that race. He got down to like close to 20th, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even I was like, oh, that's gonna be tough. And he just climbed right back up and made it happen. So, um, but here is your list of your drivers for the round of 16. And congrats to those drivers that have made the playoffs. And you could read off which ones made it in by points.
All right, so in points, Iweezy took home the overall number 1 spot. Ace Blade came in 4th. Amelia Rose came in 5th. Myself, Rhett Sawyer, snuck in at 6th. Andrew Green in 7th. Merle McGuire in 8th. Rooster Roden got in at 10th. And because of the amount of drivers we had to finish out of the playoff spots, Tyler Commander was the last driver in 12th.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had two drivers that were in the top 16 in points, but unfortunately, um, because Bill Cherry won, um, and Freddie Trammell, I want to say, they took away some
Bill
spots.
Cherry in 23rd and Freddie in
Yeah,
26th.
so they took away spots, and unfortunately, those spots were Peyton Hill was in one of them, and
Mm-hmm.
the other driver was
JQ.
JQ. So because of that, JQ got bumped out, and Peyton Hill got bumped out of the playoffs, and that's why winning in a race is extremely important because you just solidified yourself a spot no matter what happens, even if you struggle the rest of the way. Um, so it's just how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. But I'll read off this list here from top to bottom of the starting off. These are the playoff points on the screen. Um, Kyle Storm is first. He has 18 playoff points. Eweezy second, 16. Ace Blade third with 15. Axel Raven with 9. Doug Britton with 8. Rhett Sawyer with 7. Odeon with 7. Bill Cherry with 7. Ralph Lumley with 6. Freddie Trammell with 6. Aaron Kozak 6. Amelia Rose 6. Andrew Green with 4. Merle McGuire with 3. Rooster Rodden with 1. And Tyler Commander with 1. And one thing I noticed with this list compared to last season, um, there's a lot more driver that have a few points.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they're kind of tight, like fourth through like 12 is separated by 3 points. So
Yep.
man, moving over to the next round might come down to a point or two. Uh, what you think about these set of drivers?
That's the big thing I noticed instantly was, 4th through 12th, like you said. Uh, you're separated by 3 points, but even if you go to down to 14th, that's really only 6 points, and that's not much. That's one good stage finish. That's only a few positions. It, it's going to be really tight. I don't think there's anyone besides maybe the top 3 that have any sort of comfortable feeling, but even them, It's not they're not too far ahead. There's no one reaching where Lotus was last year. So like last year, I think those top three would have been kind of middle of the top eight with those points almost. Costorm probably would have been a little bit higher, but I remember there was quite a few drivers around that 15 mark, and a lot of them got knocked out in the rounds.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have the top three, and again, like you said, I mean, stage points. You know, if you win a stage, that's 10 points plus a playoff point. So that's 11 points right there. If you know, um, if you win a stage. So
Hmm.
you just gotta think about that. Like that's already almost, you know, somebody that has 1 point and they win a stage. That's, you know, they're already up to 12 points in one stage. So obviously it depends where you finish too. Um, but if you have a good run during the race and you finish maybe, you know, top five in each stage, man, you're gonna have a great day in points, and that will almost most likely will get you over to the round of 12.
Hmm.
Um, but we are racing at Talladega, and we all know what can happen there. So, um,
I mean, I think realistically, if you're in this playoff group here, if you're in the 20, if you finish in the 20s, you're nervous.
yeah, I mean, and if you wreck, if you have any type of wreck, no matter if
Oh yeah.
it's you hit the wall, and even if it's something that brings you into the pits, man, that could be it, honestly. Unless everyone else that's on this list starts wrecking. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, and we had that happen last season where a lot of top drivers wrecked, and but everyone else was kind of wrecking, so it really didn't make too big of an impact. But if that doesn't happen, you know, that's pretty much your playoffs right there. You're pretty much done after one race. Um, so it's gonna be very interesting what happens moving forward. Um, we have, the driver from almost every team. We're missing a driver from Can-Am
Uh, Can-Am and Desperado.
and Desperados. Um, so we have three low fuel. We have four Northern Lights, three DOG, one Lost City, one Apex, and four Brew Crew. We know how strong Brew Crew is. Um, I wouldn't let those points deceive you on the screen.
Not at all.
Because they're usually pretty fast on some of these tracks, especially road. I feel like they do very well on the road courses. Mile, I mean, Northern Lights does well on a mile and a half. I think they're pretty strong in a mile and a half. Uh, so I mean, it's gonna be great. I mean, both of those teams have four. That's my, that's what, honestly, that's the battle I'm looking forward to is these two teams that have four. Um, because
And they're like really close in the team standings as well.
yeah, so it's like I think you know they're gonna be very extremely competitive cars. So I mean I wouldn't call it DOG. I mean DOG. I mean Odeon is sitting much nicer than he was last season at this point. I think
I
he
think he had zero
he
points.
has
I think
zero
he was
points.
16.
Yeah. So right now he's sitting seventh. So I mean, and he's tied actually. But um, if I were to choose a sleeper out of this whole list here, man, if I were to pick a driver that wasn't on this list last season, I would say would be uh, I kind of like Ralph Lumley at ninth there.
Yeah, I'm trying to draw a blank here on who was in last season.
I know Ralph
Let's
Lumley's
see.
new.
Ralph's new. Ace and Axel are new because they came up from the B series.
Yeah,
I'm in there, but I ain't picking myself because I ain't done very well. Besides just sitting consistently.
That's
Um, Ralph is new. I think was Bill new?
Bills new, yes. I wouldn't count him out either. I wouldn't. He's had some strong performances.
Yeah.
Um, Even in that last race, he won a stage. He looked pretty fast. Um, I think I'm not sure where he finished, but uh,
In the standings.
no, it's just
Oh.
the race itself.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Bill, he's. I want to point out something real quick because I saw Walker in there and talking about the Brew Crew having a down year. I mean, three of their drivers, even though yeah they're in the lower end of points, they finished fifth, seventh, and eighth. That's not a down year.
no,
It's
that's
just
it's good.
no wins.
No wins and stage wins.
Yeah,
So that's really what it comes down to. Some of these drivers won a few stages, so winning those
and then you have
stages,
Bill in there in eight.
yeah,
He finished 23rd. So like Kozak won, yes, but I mean Bill finished 23rd, and he's ahead of the three guys who finished in the top eight. So
yeah. So it's all about. That's why during the season I always stress, hey, playoff points. Winning a stage is extremely important. Um, and those stage wins add up throughout the season. Um, and now you see the fruits of that labor of winning. Those stages. Those are all you have to look at it as bonus points. They really are
hmm
just like bonus points. You do win points. Um, the top 10 in the standings win points, playoff points, and then points get added to that, which are your wins and your stage wins, and that's how we get these total points on the screen. Um, so even though people might be like, "Oh, I won a stage, it's only 1 point," but that 1 point is huge in the playoffs. During the regular
hmm
season is not a big thing, but when the playoffs start, you're gonna wish you had those stage those stages that you were beat out in the last lap, or like just lost the lead and just came in second in those points you wish you had right now. You know what I'm saying? I would
Oh,
take three. I
100%.
would take 3 points. I would take four of those points if I was 12 with 6 points. If I had four extra stage wins, I would be like fourth on this list. You know what I mean? So that's how big the stage wins are.
I mean, we had multiple times in the playoffs last season where 1 or 2 points separated you from getting cut or making the next round.
Yeah, I mean that's how wild it is, man. And you know, playoff points is what you need during the season. And the same thing happened this season as last season, where nobody won two races.
hmm
So just imagine if one of these drivers had won two races, how big of a difference that would make right now. Uh, that's like a 12-point swing almost. So um, that's why I always say no driver wants to see another driver win a second race in a regular season, because
Oh yeah.
that would just hurt. But next, I'm gonna put up on the screen. Um, let's go to the 1987. This is kind of like the standings where it shows like 14th through like 20th, 26th. And these are the drivers that were left out, unfortunately. Um,
Well, Tazzy was a cutoff point.
yes, Tazzy's the cutoff at 16th. Miller France unfortunately didn't make it by 3 points. Um, he still had a good season. I mean, it was a decent season. One top five, two top tens, and five top 20s. He had 41 stage points, but just was 3 points short, unfortunately. Then under him was Chris Webber at 18th. Uh, he
And
missed
he
it.
was in coming in. He was like in the playoffs if you were looking coming in
Yeah,
to this
he
past
was
week.
in the playoffs. last week, I mean the week before that, and he just had a bad race, and
Hmm?
that's all it takes to get bumped out. He missed it by 5 points, unfortunately. Um, and the same with Andy Dunwoody. I mean, he actually had a better race, but he was just too
He left himself a little bit too much work to do on the last week.
yeah. So he just missed it by about 10, 11 points. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, those guys didn't make it in. Now let's go to the next gen standings here. Um, yeah, and as you see, Peyton Hill and JQ are 14th and 15th. But because Bill Cherry and Freddie Trammell won, that bumps them out, you know. Um, and because of that, they didn't get in,
Yep.
unfortunately. That's just the way it is. It just shows you how big a win is, you know. If they didn't have a win, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. So, because they really didn't have a great season. Um, but that win solidified their playoffs. I mean, their chance to get in. So the same with Freddie Trammell. Um, Out of those two drivers, who you think will get the farthest?
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
Basing on consistency from what I'm seeing, I would say Bill.
yeah.
I would have to say Bill, and it also seems to me Lost Cities has found a little bit of magic this season, so I'm gonna lean towards Lost City right now.
Yeah, I would agree. Bill Cherry has shown some flashes, that he has some speed. Just like that last race, he was hovering up there, top three. Um, he was fighting for the lead, you know, and he finished the race in fourth. And that's a pretty fast track. So I do see him having some speed this week. Um, so yeah, that'll be interesting what Bill does. But I do think Bill would advance here. Um, but who knows? Because I forget where Freddie Trammell won. Do you have that? Where he won his
He
race?
won week one.
So he won at Daytona, which is a super speedway. So
Yep.
I mean, he might just have that car for a super. He might just have that set up for a super speedway. So I mean, if he wins, I really wouldn't be shocked. You know, especially coming off a win at Daytona, which is not easy. Um,
Well, when you look at super speedways, it's not necessarily having the fastest car when it comes down to it. You
yeah,
really just got to stay attached to the main group, and then when something happens that causes a breakup, staying attached to the breakaway group is absolutely massive.
yeah. So he definitely has the speed to keep up with that main pack. So uh, I think it'll be key. If he can keep that up and keep that car clean, because I feel like if you get any type of aerodynamic damage, you know, it just like ruins your day because you might lose speed. You probably can't keep up with the draft. So that's the name of the game. If you can hang around up front towards the end, it doesn't even have to be in the beginning. Um, but if you could just hang in there, stay clean, you'll be in there at the end. Um, so yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But Eric,
One thing I wanted to point out real
yeah,
quick,
yeah, go ahead.
a Killmonger. If you look at his stage points, 61.
Yeah,
There's only 5 other drivers in the series that had higher stage points than him.
yeah, and he was very consistent.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, he got caught up a few times in some races. Had a slow start, uh, and then you're just playing catch up the rest of the way. Um, that happened to Lotus Lee. Unfortunately, he didn't make the playoffs this season. Um, and he finished 25th. Um, but it's just the way it goes sometimes, man. If you have a few bad races, um, you just playing catch up the rest of the way,
Hmm.
and that's hard because if these guys ahead of you are being consistent, it's gonna be hard to close that gap. Um, and we have some good drivers that are outside looking in. Kenny Flourish, another one.
Two
Um,
finalists from last year are out.
yeah, so we're definitely gonna have a new champion. That's for sure.
The reigning champions out.
Yeah, it's like I swear, like no lie, like every time somebody wins a championship, the next year is so difficult for them for whatever reason. Um, it's just very hard to get back to that stage again, and especially with
Hmm.
this format, it's extremely hard. You have to have a lot of things go your way. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you don't have anything else to add, um, I think we could wrap this up. Or if anyone has any questions, just post them in the chat and we'll answer them the best we can. Um, I think it's been a great season so far. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. That's always exciting. Um,
Hmm.
so much can happen in a few weeks. So the name of the game is just advancing, obviously, and you need a little luck too
Yep.
along the way. You need skill, but you also need that luck there to get you through to the end. Uh, and then in the other series, we just have those are straight up points. Uh, we got multi-class. There's a few tight races in there for driver championships. LMP Hume is down by 8 points. Uh, this is multi-class. Um, the GTE series, man, that's tight. Adam Jones, Andrew Green, Ace Blade, they're all separated by 4 points.
Hmm.
So that's gonna come down to the end, I think. And we have the World of Racing. We have 4 races left. Apex versus Desperado in the semifinals. In the winners bracket, in the losers bracket, we have Lost City Racing and Brew Crew, and then we'll have the finals after that.
Just something quickly on the world of racing I saw here. Um, just looked at it. it. If you look at the teams we have left, Brew Crew has been a powerhouse for the last few seasons.
Yeah,
But after that, it's Lost City. You got Lost City as a rookie team.
yeah,
They've done well this year for a rookie team. They're sitting around fifth or sixth in team standings. But then Apex and Desperado both are having down years from where they came in last year. But yeah, here they are at the top of the winners bracket, fighting to get into the grand finals.
yeah. And it really shows you that Lost City and Desperado Racing have good builds. Um, because they really bad. I'm not saying nobody else has good builds, but I'm just saying they have competitive builds. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So they can almost go toe to toe with anybody. But this week we will have a race for the World of Racing. We'll have the winners bracket semifinals, which is Apex versus Desperado, and then next week we'll do the Lost City and the Brew Crew. Um, since there's only 4 races left for the World of Racing, I'm gonna keep it to a race a week and we'll finish all the series at the same time. Um, yeah, because we got 4 weeks to go on everything, which is good. And then we'll get ready for the off season. Um, I'll touch a little base on the off season. Um, I have some plans and I have some things in the works right now. Uh, I don't know if all this is gonna happen, so I'm not gonna really announce anything. Um, but I will say there is a possibility we're gonna have 7 series next season. Um, can I make that work? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out the logistics because it is a lot. Um, and I think that would be the most we've ever had, to be honest. Um, but if I can figure out the logistics, I'm gonna make it happen. Um, but we will see. I've always expressed I like to have different types of racing um, in this league, just not, just not have, just oval I like to have a variety because not everyone is a fan of NASCAR. Not everybody's a fan of road racing. Not everybody's a fan of open wheel. I mean, so I would love to offer, variety. So some guy be like, hey, I really don't want to race here. I want to race here. But if I can make it work, um, it's gonna happen. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still in the planning phase of everything. I start early. That way, once we hit the off season, we already know what's happening. Um, but next season is our 10th season, which is crazy to even think of that. But so if I can make that season big because it's our 10th anniversary, then that's what I'm gonna do. But we'll see if I could figure all that out. I do have plans of changing some progression, like how the progression system is. Not much. Um, for certain, like next gen, I liked how the system is. Like for next gen 1987, I feel like that system is very competitive for that style of racing. For oval, because every season we have different drivers, we have different winners. It's not just somebody dominating all the time. So it shows you that people are doing their homework. You know, they're experimenting with builds. So that's what we want to see. Honestly, I mean, it's nothing wrong with somebody dominating, but um, it's just good because that keeps everyone else on their toes, and it's extremely challenging. So but the progression might change for some of the other series, but we'll see. I still have to look at the data and see what might work best. But if I want to run 7 series, I honestly have to change some of the progression um, for other series because time wise, I have to be realistic. Time wise, that's gonna be pretty tough to keep up with. So um, I might have to change a few things to make it work. Um, do you have anything to add, Ray? I know I could ramble on, but I just want to give people a little heads up of what might be coming next season.
Uh, I don't really have too much to add on that end, because it's all about you being able to find out what you can handle and get running smoothly for yourself. From what I hear of it, I'm excited to see what's coming. Can't wait till it's announced for the league. When you got it finally locked down.
Yeah, I think some people like some of these series. I know people have been looking. I've posted a few like hints out there of the BMW I've been posting. Um, so that should be.
I
I think that should.
I think that's the one I'm looking forward to the most. If I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that one. That one's gonna be like a champions of champion. Like that's gonna be like a one of our top series in the league. Um, because of the amount of attributes that you can progress. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna need experienced drivers in that league. It cannot be nobody. It has to be experienced drivers, um, because that league is really people really gonna have to do their homework there. There, from the test I've done, man, let me tell you, that's not gonna be easy. And that's what I want. That's something I've always wanted. I'm like, a lot of you guys have been here for a while now and have a lot of experience making these builds. Um, but I feel like this right here brings it to a whole nother level. We're not talking about how many attributes we got right now. Seven right now, six or seven.
6 plus age.
So if we are at age seven, so we'll be going from seven attributes to like 12. So just think about that. You know what I'm saying? So, and they kind of all work together. Um, and there is rain. So we also take rain, got to take rain into consideration. So that's why really makes me excited about this series is that it's gonna be crazy. You really have to try to figure it out. So yeah,
Someone like me who likes to dive into the builds a lot, I can't wait to mess around with all that.
yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting for sure. So I'm definitely I'm looking forward to that league, that series. I mean, so we'll see. I think we had another question here. Somebody put if the team wins the loser bracket.
He's asking if it's going to be a bracket reset, basically. If the team from the losers bracket wins, are you gonna run a second match for double elim?
Or like if it's like the best out of three type of thing.
No, so basically, I forgot who was in the top. It
So so
was
no, so
Apex Desperado.
so
So
if
if Apex goes to the finals, right? Let's just say
right,
Apex goes
yep,
to the finals,
yep.
um, and pick any of the other three teams. They make it through the losers bracket. They go up to and they beat Apex the first time. Are you going to do a bracket reset and run a final winner take all race?
Well, how this bracket is basically, so if say Desperados lose, right? So
Hmm.
Desperados will go into the last round of the losers bracket. So let's say Lost City wins, they advance to the last round of the losers bracket. So the winner of the Desperados and the Lost City advances back up to the
Hmm.
finals and will face Apex for the championship.
Okay, so it's not a
No,
double elim
no,
final,
it's whoever wins that losers bracket goes back up
right?
and races for the championship. Um, so yeah, so that's pretty much all I have. I'm pretty excited about things that are coming, and I figured since this is the 10th season of the league, let's just kind of do it big, and if I can make it work, I mean, I would love to do it big as our 10th anniversary. Now, would I keep it like that the follow? We'll see. I mean, but I figure at least for our 10th anniversary, let's do something different, you know. Um, let's do something a little big, have the most series we've ever had. Um, and if we can keep it all great. Um, but we also have dirt racing still hanging around out there that iRacing hasn't released yet. And I've always said when dirt racing gets released, I mean, like when dirt racing gets released, whenever that is, even if it doesn't ever happen, that's something that will come to this league no matter what. Like, I love dirt racing, and it's something that I definitely want in this league. Um, I don't know if iRacing will ever do it. Um, hopefully, but we'll see. We'll definitely have a dirt racing series, that's for sure. Um, so So some of these series, like I know some people see series come and go, and they're like, "Man, I really like that car." Um, but I also like to experiment and kind of see if it's something that's great, how many viewers we get, things like that, and that's how I decide kind of what sticks around and what doesn't. Um, you got to try different things to see what people kind of have fun watching, and so we'll see. Will the racing won't come back next season, but it might come back. I kind of like every once in a while, maybe we can do this type of thing, a little tournament, um, and teams could go head to head. I think that part of it is fun. Maybe we'll change the format a little bit. Maybe add more cars. Um, and I also plan on doing a really big race for our 10th anniversary. Um, I want to give out like a prize or something to the winner. Um, that's something I have down for.
24 hours of Daytona.
You know what? I've always, people have said it all the time. I'm like, man, that's a lot of out. But I really want to do, even if it's 6 hours or something, like, you know what I mean? I want to do something long. Like let's get a few teams. Every team gets involved. Maybe add a few cars, and let's do, I don't know how many hours, but I definitely would love to do a long race. Um,
Right.
I know iRacing is about to do. What are they doing? Um, I think they're doing a 6 hour event. Let's just look it up real quick.
No, I mean they've been starting to hit the endurance series. Is pretty hard. They've been doing like I've been seeing 6 hours of Sebring. I think I've seen something like an endurance race at the Glen.
Yeah,
I know
that's what
they
I
they
saw.
took part in the Daytona.
The Glen thing. And I was like, man, we could do something like that. 6 hours of the Glen. That's what they're doing. Um, not sure what car they're using. Uh,
But I've seen them do like the 24 hours of Daytona to try to counteract the other game that gets the 24-hour Le Mans.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I mean, I could do a 6 hour thing. I think that would be fun. Make it like this big thing. You know, I definitely want to do some type of big race. Um, for our 10th season, even if it's like a one-off big event. So I just have to figure out what car we're using and what track and how long the race is going to be. But yeah, but that's for next season. We still have 4 weeks to go, and we have quite a bit of champions we still have to crown. So it's going to be fun the rest of the way. If you don't have nothing else, Rhett, then that is it for me.
Nope, that's it for me. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I appreciate everyone watching the stream, and good luck if you're in the playoffs the rest of the way. I will see you guys next time.